from Uptown Kingston. I'm your host, Faith Marie. Our special guest today is Daniel Marc and Flood the Valleys, DJ Buffalo. You are watching KingzCity TV.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Yeah. Shouts to Cabo for this one. Skills. Kingston. People wanna talk, I ain't hearing it. Every thought you think of me, I'm clearing it. It's almost my time, y'all niggas fearing it, but secretly bump my shit. I know you feeling it. I'm in this bitch with a flow so sick. Dolo, no click. Just a few niggas who gon' still ride when I get rich. Don't you see to me this shit ain't a damn thing. You Kobe at Golden State, I'm James getting second ring. Smacked off that Paulie, my white niggas on Molly. Got that chicken pocket, nickname her Polly. Cause when I touch that, she snap back. Fuck her for the cap. You ain't about the rap flow crack. I ain't talking pack. Saying you got flow? Are you serious? Your girl got more flow? On a period, liquor got people delirious. I know how many times you played my track, you wasn't curious. This is to them haters. Some now, more later. I'm a dreaming paper chaser, feel great, but I can feel greater. Red dot on the top, M27 with that laser, making impact, no crater. I grind but no skater. Book shows, a couple tours. Want some her, they gon' want more for sure. Don't open the door, the beast of the bitch, hear the roar. Do you hear the roar? Like I'm cutting something up. You gon' fiend for more if you hate, I don't give a fuck. People wanna talk, I ain't hearing it. Every thought you think of me, I'm clearing it. It's almost my time, y'all niggas fearing it, but secretly bump my shit. I know you feeling it. I'm in this bitch with a flow so sick. Dolo, no click. Just a few niggas who gon' still ride when I get rich. Don't you see to me this shit ain't a damn thing. You Kobe at Golden State, I'm James getting second ring. People giving me daps, say they like my track. Someone says that I'm nice, then they say that I'm whack. What's up with that? Be real, my nigga is criticism, but all that back and forth shit to me, that's hater syndrome. That shit be OD, it's all good, live cozy. Why you think I got a Facebook? It's permission to be nosy. In the day, smoke OZ, above can't be where the lows be. Sky high, no lie, I see y'all fuck boys below me. Keep a cup full, the blunt roll, mind blowed out of control, like a nigga stash got stole. Y'all niggas ass, I know, don't have to ask, I know. You only G with the match, him carry this a reality show. Hold up, let me switch it up, not the flow drink in my cup. Please let me in the game, watch how I fuck shit up. You like it, I'ma pick it up and rip it up. Realize the whole time I'm missing. What the people wanna talk, I ain't hearing it. Every thought you think of me, I'm clearing it. It's almost my time, y'all niggas fearing it, but secretly bump my shit. I know you feeling it. I'm in this bitch with a flow so sick. Dolo, no click. Just a few niggas who gon' still ride when I get rich. Don't you see to me this shit ain't a damn thing. You Kobe at Golden State, I'm James getting second ring.
Okay, welcome Jerry, Dan, and DJ Buffalo.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm gonna give you a big old hug. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hi guys, this is Jerry TV, Daniel Marc, and DJ Buffalo, founder of Flood the Valley. Okay, DJ Buffalo, who were some of your favorite DJs growing up?
Tony Touch, for sure. Dua. DJ Ravi from Newburgh. And a guy named Mike Patrick from Woodstock. DJ Havoc.
At what age did you realize, Daniel Marc, your calling to music?
Probably when I was pretty young. my father's a singer, and I watched him growing up. And then about the time I was 10 or 11, I started playing guitar and going out to shows by the time I was 12. And probably after the first few live shows that I saw a lot of rock shows like Kiss and Ted Nugent. And just basically going to all these rock and roll scene shows as well that were more underground. And probably by the time I was 13, I realized I wanted to be in music. And by the time I was 14, I was playing shows.
Nice.
Well, what kind of music did your dad sing?
He's actually a cantorial singer and a rabbi. So he's singing Eastern European melodies, and he's also a big like show tunes guy. So he'd always have like Broadway scores out on our piano at home. So I'd constantly be hearing this kind of mix between these Eastern European melodies, Israeli melodies, and also a lot of show tunes. So it's the kind of stuff that I started with.
That's really cool.
Shit is fire.
That's fire, right?
DJ Buffalo, what was the first song you ever worked on as a DJ?
First song I ever worked on as a DJ was with my man Too Deep, and we made it in his bedroom on his MPC, some old sample he looped up from a record we I guess rented would be the word, or borrowed from the SUNY Ulster library. It has some old wax in there.
Nice.
And it was pretty primitive, but it was dope. It had that little Too Deep flair to the beat. I had some like shitty old scratch record. I just used like some cliche cut for the hook. And it was called Fraudulent Behavior. And it was dope. It's still dope. I need to find it and re-release it.
What track do you think made you famous?
Am I famous yet? I hope so.
I'm sure you're famous. You're
I guess the most notoriety
Frozen Grapes.
I've gotten, Frozen Grapes is good. I'm not actually on that. I executive produced the album, but as far as doing cuts and shit, like most of the songs I was on was doing like hooks and intros and outros, bridges for people on like some primo shit. And my boy Harry Fraud, shout Harry Fraud, he put me on a joint with G.O.D. from Infamous Mob, but really ATG put me on a joint with Cool G Rap. That got a lot of attention. But then really, I guess it was just working with No Question that got us the most attention. No Question was a group when we were all living at the sweatshop in Chinatown. That was our studio. And it was me, Guess Who, What's His Face, and Harry Fraud. Guess Who and What's His Face, No Question. And it was a Nintendo mixtape. And I believe you can still get it at nintendomixtape.com. If it's not there, it's somewhere. And you know, the cool kids showed us some love and brought us out to a couple shows and let us open up for them. And I guess that really is what got us the most attention. We were in Spin Magazine and I don't know, a bunch of other like little websites, blogs and shit like that. But that was probably the jumping off point.
Okay. Daniel, Marc, what are some of the works you've worked on? Like some of the music or...
What's your catalog look like?
What's my catalog look like? Well, I've done a lot of stuff in the recent years with a lot of people on the rock and roll scene. So 3 years ago I went down to Atlanta and produced a record with some guys from the Allman Brothers Band, the keyboardist of the Rolling Stones, Chuck Leavell. Shout Chuck Leavell. He's amazing, absolute musical genius. And a whole bunch of guys from the Derek Trucks Band, one of my mentors, Enrico Scott. So I did that record with them, and then immediately came back and started working on 2 big rock records that still haven't been released from Band of the City, and this composer named Zach Lebwall, who's actually this big indie composer, but he's putting out a new album, so I'm playing some guitars on that. And I also did a lot of live stuff for a while. I was playing guitar in Frank Zappa tribute band and cover bands. And probably most recently I'm working on scoring for radio and film and doing my first solo album in like 6 years. I'm putting out all original music, which I'm hoping to go around the country, travel to a few different states, Georgia, Texas, Colorado, and California, and very hopefully record a track or 2 in each of those states and hopefully release the whole album.
You are a busy man.
I try and stay busy. Yeah, we all try and stay as busy as we can.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back.
And Capital Beats presents First Capital State of Greatness, coming soon, featuring all your local artists, L. Dot, JYO, ASF, Gutter Boy, Busy Banko, and many more.
God damn. It's fucking like 300 degrees Fahrenheit out this bitch. I suggest everybody stockpiles on their Dutch Masters and Poland Spring, raspberry lemonade, and things of that nature. Under the AC, sour and cold showers. After bowling for an hour, coughing up all colors. Fat boy asthma, smokers lung when I'm running. But in the mic race, you lightweights, you wouldn't want it with them. L's under the AC. This shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC. This shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, 100 with humidity. Mad at the weatherman, like yo, you fucking kidding me? You tryna get rid of me, Mother Nature, you sick of me? 1,000 degrees and brain dead from all the piffery. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, writing something cold. Always wished I had that central air, but couldn't afford. The day off the glass, I was a beast on the boards, but then I dished it to the point and walked my ass up the court. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, sipping on the ice water with lemon in it, reminiscing what life taught us. To know your worth, I said that you couldn't put a price on this. Grind all day, then prepare for what the night brought us. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC. L's under the AC, this shit cooler than L's under the AC.
Too hot, baby. Gotta run for shelter, gotta run for shade. Baby, it's too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot, too hot.
D-Rock, 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 D-Rock.
Militia don't play. Make a bitch bend down, obey. Walking about with that tray 8 and that yapper. Razor blade in my hand, bitch, Baraka. Wasn't even a teenager, I think. Uncle Ski to those keys like Tom Hanks. Grandma said my bitch poisoning me. Butterscotch and that twat, that pussy so sweet. I ain't stuntin' on one of these fuck niggas. Talking all that, why don't you go get it? Pussy nigga, this activist got me activated. And the pussy nigga, you acting like got me aggravated. When I was bored, we played a game, I point them out. We fuck you up, strip you down, and stomp you out. MTN, Heffy B, MFG. I'ma get icy and ball on niggas, MSG. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Razor blade in my hand, bitch, Baraka. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Walk around with that tray 8 and that yapper. Razor blade in my hand, bitch, Baraka. You know how I do. Farm bitch, smoking weed in my groove. Fat ass on my lap, hand on my strap. Fuck around, think I'm fucking around and get clapped. What's the bed? I only fondle that bread. Nah, I don't know her name, but I know that head. Nah, I don't know that lame, you don't know that's feds? Nah, you don't know my name, if so, your ass dead. Had a girl that she didn't answer her phone. She had a man till she came and then he wasn't home. OG and codeine got me in my zone. When you talking to a G, watch your tone. Nigga, I'm walking around with that tray and that yapper. Walk around with that tray and that yapper. Walk around with that tray and that yapper. Razor blade in my hand, bitch, Baraka. Walk around with that tray and that yapper. Walk around with that tray and that yapper. Walk around with that tray and that yapper. Razor blade in my hand, bitch, Baraka.
DJ
I show attention to insinuate the pain. I'm insinuating that I'm re-illustrating the brain. We all have a gift, the sight's in plain, but to live right, gotta use the right side of brain. You see the bright side of things, like changing the counters when it rains and pours. Bring showers, true powers amongst you. No one to trust you unless you trust you. Goddamn, what the world has come to. Fake shit prevalence. Something wrong with the scale, then so much unbalanced. About done counting. They steady pouting, puckering their lips on some sucker shit. Crying about a bitch when foreign's warring with our government. That's why it's fuck the world with double dicks. Tell them fuckers to go to hell, make it a double trip. Yeah, I want my chips, make sure they double dip. Told you I ain't nothing to play with. Started from the bottom, talking born in the basement. Face it, some niggas can't face it. They own reflections like looking at Satan. Fast life, got your heart racing. Sitting, waiting, but time is money. Doing nothing, just leaving you broke, dummy. I'd rather pull down that Scully and go Ted Bundy or Dharma for the karmas. My Dharma, same as Dalai Lama. No drama, or niggas to catch trauma. End up sending for trauma. Word to mama. I'm a bomber. Al-Qaeda riding with the llamas. In the strip, then come back like karma. Can't say I ain't warn ya. Now you a goner. They say death around the corner. And who am I if I don't show ya? Everybody laughing, I act like I don't know ya. Ain't that much colder? Someone you thought was your best friend going this on ya. When you been nothing but a loyal soldier. Shit. They don't understand. You got the power to create, manifest yourself. Various templates, destiny you waste. Decisions you make, praying for cake when you should be praying for faith. Crazy. Faith. Should be praying for faith. You ain't gotta see it to believe. Just believe to achieve. Love the face with the. Love the face with the.
Flood the Valley 2-year anniversary, Friday, June 20th, 2014 at 9 p.m. at BSP Lounge, 323 Wall Street, Kingston, New York, 12401. Performances by Mayhem Loren, Fresh Daily, Al Bogues, guest DJ JS1 from the Rocksteady crew, special guest performances by 845 Zone JYO, Ocho, Mr. King. Pre-sale tickets available at floodthevalleyny.com. Sponsored by Red Bull and Mass Appeal.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back.
DJ Buffalo, let's talk about the Flood the Valley 2-year anniversary.
Flood the Valley is 2 years old. And we're...
It's a terrible tune.
Well, how is it
definitely.
important to the genre of the hip-hop community?
Because the hip-hop is saturated these days. Everybody, it's easy to get Pro Tools, it's easy to get, not necessarily turntables, but some kind of setup to DJ. And it's dope that everyone has the ability to get knowledge through the internet and the ability to get equipment for cheap, but it also leads to a lot of bullshit and fake ass DJs and just watered down music in general, cookie cutter shit that keeps coming out. And I feel like Flood the Valley, I go out of my way to make sure I always am representing what I feel is dope in hip hop for what's still out here, because I feel like a lot of people gave up a long time ago, people that were around through the 90s and the golden era, so to say, but it's like there's still dope music out there. The 845 makes a lot of dope music and beyond, but like I felt like it's a good time to let it all come together. Like a lot of the acts that have performed for the past 2 years are going to come out and do a couple songs. I finally have the chance to bring up a couple of bigger acts that I feel are dope. And maybe the area might not know all of them quite as much, but I think that that's my duty, is to put them on.
Yeah.
And like leave here being like, oh, you heard Mayhem Loren? Like,
I think
maybe
also,
the rest of the team didn't, but now they do.
How do you feel about the hip hop in Kingston, New York? How do you feel about it?
Well, so that's what I was going to say. I think that over the past few years, the record industry has changed a lot. So it used to be, you put out a record, you go tour, you have a major label, and that was your thing. You did this thing called an album cycle, which lasts 12 months, 18 months sometimes. In recent years, it doesn't happen anymore, and that record industry is really not a viable business model to most people that are doing this kind of stuff. And it's really become a regional kind of thing. So things that were national, that could only survive in a national market, have now broken down into different regions, and you start hearing, almost like you heard in the 20s or 30s, the jazz era. You hear the North Carolina sound, the Atlanta sound, California sound. And Flood the Valley represents the best of what's going on in New York. That's not the saturated stuff or the
Stereotypical stuff.
Definitely not the stereotypical stuff, and it's just not the same
real shit.
And it's not the same kind of stuff that you're going to hear in New York City. It's a different flavor. And so I think that people outside of New York City have been, and even now in New York City, have been flocking to Flood the Valley as this kind of father brand that is supporting this regional sound. It's actually become one of the biggest hip hop companies to actually do this kind of stuff.
I'm excited to be able to see it.
Yeah, you're coming out to the next show, right?
The next show, yeah.
It's gonna be sold out. Mayhem Loren, who is with Action Bronson, put out a bunch of songs with Action Bronson, and is with the Smart Crew and everything like that. And that's another way that we've connected our brand to artists that are outside the Hudson Valley. For example, Mayhem Loren is not only a great MC, he is also high up in the graffiti world, and he actually does interviews about graffiti, and it's something that our brand completely supports and have been involved with. So we're happy to have him come up in a few weeks and do his thing for us.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back.
Cool. Yes. About you. Rap Nation. You see me up, you see me down. You see me over here, yeah, I get around. As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. You know who I is, you know who I ain't. The things that I did when they told me I can't. What else? As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder.
Rap Nation, bang a bang, Major League DMV. Any way you perceiving me, comparison never ends equally for you. Three of the best at doing exactly what we do. All this rapping we pursue, leaving you mad without a clue. Angry, the grind is what made me. You blame me, no ifs, ands, or maybe. Your old lady claim we hotter than Haiti, playing me in the Mercedes bumping. Nobody gave me nothing, no, not at all. Ali, you comp the ball. We promise not to fall ever. Track record, Olympic gold. I'm all in and you quick to fold. Rhyme spit a professional, turn haters to vegetable. Baltimore, yeah, that's the O. Seeing green, so we meant to go. Quicker, stronger, and wicked. And every time that we kick it, the illest acts on the ticket. You actually asking who did it. Money man with the hand, the profit. Our names always pop up, the topic, because
you see me up, you see me down. You see me over here, yeah, I get around. As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. You know who I is, you know who I ain't. The things that I did when they told me I can't. What else? As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder.
One of the greatest, I am one of the greatest. I'm repping that color purple to Oprah's. One of my neighbors hitting hard as Ray Lou. Staying true to my religion, word to the jeans that I'm wearing, word to these shorties that's staring, word to the block. I'm repping city to city, every ghetto section, presidential rolling on them, no election, undisputed, unexpected. I'm the uninvited guest. I'm the truth, like Sojourner, big burner to your chest. Thug life, like pocket is prime. I get around, they hate to see you up, but they love to see you down. But I earn every accolade, none of it was easy. With a flow tighter than leopard skin leggings on wheeze. It's quite clear, they quite queer, and we like years ahead of these niggas. It's less feeling like life bears. And speaking of life bears, Coors Light is searching for the coldest MC. Like that ain't obviously me. An article with the flow, love and hip hop. My life's a reality show. Mully was destined to blow. So when you see Mully and comp, as far as competition, we don't see no comp. We see niggas getting stomped. Not to mention profit. We in better shape, we profit. So it's only right that we profit. Which is ironic, I'm pushing that BMW. Baltimore's most wanted, Mr. BMW. Mully.
You see me up, you see me down. You see me over here, yeah, I get around. As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. You know who I is, you know who I ain't. The things that I did when they told me I can't. What else? As soon as I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder. When I pop up, reminder.
Flood the Valley 2-year anniversary, Friday, June 20th, 2014 at 9 p.m. at BSP Lounge, 323 Wall Street, Kingston, New York, 12401. Performances by Mayhem Loren, Fresh Daily, Al Bogues, guest DJ JS1 from the Rocksteady crew, special guest performances by 845 Zone JYO, Ocho, Mr. King. Pre-sale tickets available at floodthevalleyny.com. Sponsored by Red Bull and Mass Appeal.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back.
So what makes you guys experts in the graffiti world?
Well, we can't answer. They actually can't answer that question at all, right?
Yeah, not really.
Well, I guess everything I've done, everything, is well known enough. But I mean, obviously you're not supposed to talk about it too much. But I don't know if I'm an expert on anything, but I've definitely slept in piss more than once for that shit and sat in jail cells. So I mean, I guess that makes me an expert on it.
I think also what we've got into is classic art too, which I've gotten into most recently because of Buffalo. And first of all, he's got an amazing private collection of hand painted signs. And we started really getting into, or I started getting into through these guys, about high street art, meaning art that is basically noted as historical at this point. And we are friends and acquaintances with a lot of, not just the dealers who we're dealing with now, but the artists themselves.
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like graffiti is huge because people that get into graffiti come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And under normal circumstances would never cross paths. And it's dope because a lot of these people that write graffiti that might come from a hood or come from private schools, they all have something different to bring to the game. And what I'm saying is, most people that write graffiti don't just write graffiti. They also rap and fuck everything else. And it's like, so many people can connect with each other through that. There's a lot people don't know about the whole game, and that's the whole thing I was saying before, is that I think the internet is dope because it's putting people on everything, but it's also bad. It's homogenizing a culture to us where you had to get off your ass to do something back in the day, to know about what's popping in graffiti, to know about what's popping in hip-hop. You had to get off your ass and go do something. You couldn't sit at home behind your computer and learn everything. Like, you had to go, like, I used to just post up in record shops as a little white boy in the hood. Like, I'd go to the city with my little $50 and try to get as many records, try to stretch that shit as far as I could. And it meant something. Like, all the joints I played when I played them meant something. There's a story that went behind getting every record, what I did to get the money to get it, to get the train ticket to get to the city, cheating the train.
It's
and
like a real life story. It's not like just like, oh, I'm a DJ this
Well, it's not like, oh, I went home tonight and downloaded 4,000 MP3s. They mean nothing to me. And the fact of the matter, and to be completely honest, is the music that comes out right now, that is how I feel about it. When I spin most of these joints, I don't feel strongly about them because it's like I went home and got them off a zip file that someone else uploaded to a blog, and it makes it mindless for me. And not to say that that's the way I carry my whole game. I seek out dope music every day in my life, not just hip-hop. But the fact of the matter is that's not what you want to hear if you're coming out tonight. So the music you want to hear, not to say there's anything wrong with that, but that's how the game is nowadays. There's rap blogs, you go out, you get everything and you play it. It's not the same as like when I got Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? Like still not a player, you know, working to get the money, taking the train, going and getting the record, being careful not to warp the records the whole way back, letting them get too cold or too warm, destroying them at home from scratching on them too much. There's a whole story behind it. All those songs meant so much more. You know, and it felt like there was at least a lot more feeling in all the music then. Even if it was like people, it's so funny how people complained about the Jiggy era and the shiny suit era and shit, and how it was just like watered down and bad. It's funny how even Diddy, so many real people were just like, yo, Diddy's destroying the game, making money, and like off of other people's records. And it's like no one even knew how far it would really go. Like my man JS1 definitely made me realize that too. How like Diddy was an era where a lot of like people that were really into real New York rap were disappointed, where no one knew like truly how bad it would really get with. I mean, I don't want to name names, but a lot of really bad rap that's come out in the past 15 years. Right. But I feel like there's a resurgence of dope music now. New York's coming back in a way. You know, we got Al Bogues. Things are getting better.
Peace to Al Bogues.
Yeah, shout out Bogues. Word up.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming on the show. And this is great conversation. And you're watching KingzCity TV.
Go to FloodTheValleyNY.com and consume.
Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back. Show love to my city and my city show love back.